Hi, in this video I just want to introduce you to the NetBeans IDE. I have on my desktop a shortcut for Apache NetBeans, so I've clicked on that. It can take a little bit of time to open up, but I have it open up here. Now, I'll click on the File menu and New Project. And the project category here is going to be Java with Maven and Java application. I will be ignoring a lot of the Maven settings just to get started at a very basic level. So this is more an introduction to NetBeans. And click on Next. Now, this is asking me saying, or in order to use the functionality, it wants to download a NetBeans Java C API. So I'm going to download and activate that. Welcome to the NetBeans IDE. So it needs a plugin for Java C. Accept the terms of the license. So you should only get this the very first time that you start a new project. And hopefully that won't take too long to install. And click on Finish. Yeah, so I'm just waiting for this to complete. Now, the dialog for the new Java application. So I want to give a project name here. I'm going to have a hello world for you. Just take note of the project location in case you need to find it. So, or if you want to change the directory there, you can. The bottom four here, the artifact ID, the group ID, version and package. This has all got to do with Maven. So Maven is a Java tool for compiling your code, testing it, packaging it into a jar file, installing it in a repository, and then deploying it in the release environment. So I'm not going to pay too much attention to that at the minute unless we need to, because I just want to get started at a very basic level. And click on Finish here. Now that might take a little bit of time there, so what should happen is the project should open here in the project window on the left hand side. Now I have the Hello World. And in source packages, so that was a default package that was listed there in the Maven part of the new project. So I've just left that as it is for now. Now what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to right click and create a new Jframe Form, a Jframe Form. So a frame is visible with the minimize, maximize and close button, and a form is where you can add on other controls onto it. So I'm going to create that. Now it's going to ask for a class name for this frame. I'm going to call it my frame. And again, it goes into the same package. So package is a folder, a collection of folders, the com folder, there's a my company folder. I could have changed that to a better name, but I left it at the default. And hello world. So they're just folders that it places it in. And click on Finish. Now, so this here is the frame, and when I run the program, it will open up and it will get the minimize, maximize and close button on the top. When you're here, if you look at the top, you can click on a source button that will bring you into the code behind the frame, and design will bring you back onto the frame itself. So there are two buttons just to remember that they are there, especially for the frame. Now, down in the bottom left-hand corner here, you will see your form, the frame, and any components, controls that you add onto it. You will see them there in the bottom frame there. On the top right-hand corner here is the palette. So that's like your toolbox or your palette where you can find controls to add onto your frame. So I'm going to add on a button. I'm going to drag it on and drop it. I'm also going to add on a label. I'm going to drag and drop that on. So you can see in the bottom left corner here, I have the button and I have the label. This area, the navigator, is really, really useful if you've lost a control on your form. For example, the label, I've no text on it, I can't see it. It will be visible here in the navigator window. Also then, I'm going to click on my button, and if I go to the bottom right, there's the properties window for each control that I've placed on the form. So this is great here. When I drag on a button, I can see down here in the properties window and on the form at the moment, it has a default name of JButton1. That's the code name. I'm going to change that. And in the square brackets there, it tells me what class type it is. So it's a JButton from the API. So it has actually created an instance of that class in the background. So if I click on my label, you can see there that has changed. the button, I want to change the code name of it. I can do that in two ways. I can right click here and change variable name, or I can go to the properties window. The easiest thing is to do is right click and change variable name. Microsoft came out with a great naming convention of a 3-letter prefix for all buttons, which is BTN. And I'm going to call this BTN Press Me. And here as well, I'm going to right click on it and edit text and just put Press Me on it there. Now, in the properties window, those variables are available here. So the text property is the text that I can see on it. That I could change that in the properties window. And if I scroll down as well, I will find, the code name is actually in under a different area here under the code section there. So there's the variable name and code. So it's much easier to keep that on the properties. And if you want to change the code name, right click, change variable name. So it's BTN Press Me. What I'm going to do is when I press the button into the label, I'm going to pop in Hello World. So I want to change the name of that label as well. So right click, change variable name, LBL message. Now, so my button. To go to the code behind the button, the easiest thing to do is just double click on it. If you wanted to either, you could right click, and events is an action event, an action performed. So an event is something that happens as the program is running. An action performed is basically a click event for when you click on a button when the program is running. So the handiest thing to do is double click on the button, and that will bring you to the event or the code behind the button. There are a number of events that you can capture for a button, like if the mouse moves over it, or it gets focus by tabbing to it. So there are a lot of events that you can program. So when you double click on it, on the button, it will bring you to the most popular event for that control. And in this case, it is the action event for when you click on the button. If you wanted a different event, you would have to right click on it and then choose which event that you want. What I'm going to do in here, I'm going to choose the label. So my label I called LBL message. So I type in LBL, control space. You can see it there. And the label has a hidden property, probably called text, that you can't get to, so it's encapsulated, but it does have a set text method that you can call to pass in text to show in that label. So set text, it accepts a string, so I need double quotes, and I'm going to pop in here, hello world. We are in NetBeans. Now, to get back to my form again, I can go up here and click on the design button. Now, so I have a label there. I've left the text in that, JLabel1, that's the default name that it got, the default text and the default name as well. Now, to run this program, I can click on the run button there above. And first time that you run this, it may take a little bit of time because it's going through all of the everything got to do with Maven. I've run this already, so it's a little bit quicker than what it was. So the first time you run it, it might take a minute or two. Now, here is my frame running. So when I click on the Press Me button, it goes to the code behind the button that I've written. And when I do that, I've set the text of the label to be Hello World. And you can see there my label isn't wide enough, so it's not showing all the text. So I'm going to close that. I'm going to make that label wider and then press the Run button again. Now, so it is a little bit slow to run. And Press Me, and now there it has populated that label. Also, you can put text up on the frame itself. So the best way to do that, remember, when you click on the button, you have properties for the button. You click on the label, you'll have in the properties window for the label. So click on the frame behind it, and just check here first of all that it is the Jframe itself and the properties for the frame. So you can see there on the top the title. So I'm going to type in there my first frame. And you can't see the title here in design, but when you run the program, you should be able to see that title there up in like the bar on the top up beside the minimize and maximize and close button. And there we go, my first frame. So that is a very quick introduction to NetBeans and creating your first application and popping on a button and a label. Please see my other videos for more information and how to program other controls in NetBeans.